Hello, and welcome to the Kia's Two Cents podcast, where I, Kia, give you my 2 cents on all things TV and film, books, and so much more. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about all of the television shows that I have watched lately, that I am currently watching, and the ones that I am excited about for their new seasons as March and April start the spring premieres. And there are a couple shows that I'm excited for their new season, so I'll be talking about those as well. This is your spoiler warning, so you can listen and watch this at your own risk. I will be stating what show I'm going to be talking about before I get into it, so just anticipate spoilers. If you haven't watched the show already, pause this, watch the episodes, and then come back. But I have plenty to talk about, so let's dive in. And just a sneak peek, it's going to be things like Bridgerton, A Night of Seven Kingdoms, Paradise, all of those things. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Okay, so the first show that I'm going to be talking about is Paradise. And at the time of me recording this, we have 4 episodes. So we are at the halfway point. And from what I can gather, there are 3 big mysteries that we are all trying to figure out the answers to. The first one, well, I'll start off soft and then get to the more grander ones later, but the first one is, where is Terry? And after the 4th episode, we know that, well, Xavier makes it to Atlanta, which is where he believes she is, but when he gets there, he finds out that she has been taken by someone and is no longer there. So we still don't know where Terry is. And the big question that I have from that is just, who took her and why? We know that her work was very important before the whole catastrophe happened. So, did these people need her for something that is associated with that? Are we going to finally meet some really hostile people who are living outside of the bunker and they took her for nefarious reasons? And we finally get to see like the bad side of the people, because pretty much everyone that we've seen so far has not been super hostile. I've been writing about every episode of this show on my Substack, and in my post about episode 4, I mentioned how it was very interesting that the people seem nice, I guess. They don't greet you with hostility or harm. And I mean, they protect themselves because they don't know who they're encountering, but they're not super quick to just like attack. And that's actually something that I'm used to, being someone who's watched my fair share of things like The Walking Dead and other dystopian, like end of the world, last people on earth shows. In those, it always seems like the human beings are the scariest ones roaming the earth, as opposed to whatever monsters are existing or problems or viruses or whatever that are existing. But in this show, it's very interesting how nice the people are that we've met so far. So maybe that won't be the case when it comes to Terry. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping that she's safe and that she's okay and that they just need her for something and that's why they took her, but we'll see soon. And I think that by the time you listen to this, the next episode would have dropped and we would know the whole story by now. So we shall see if I am right or wrong. The second mystery is, who is Link? Now, we do have some information on him, like he was working closely with Henry. He knows all about the bunker and whatever super dangerous thing is down there that they have to get there to, free the world or make the world a better place. He knows about Alex and whatever is going on with that. And we know that he's going into the bunker to kill Alex, but we don't really know why. And so that is why I'm still asking, who is Link? And that leads to the biggest mystery, at least I think, of the season, and that is, what is Sinatra's project? Now, I, along with many others that I've seen on social media, think that it has something to do with time travel. Now, I'm not sure if she's trying to build some sort of time machine, if she is trying to figure out how to time travel and is siphoning all of this energy for like computers to figure out calculations and mathematical equations and all of that stuff. I'm not sure if she's trying to build some kind of device that will open some sort of wormhole type situation where one particular person can time travel. But I do think that we're dealing with time travel in one or those or other ways. And I think that Sinatra is using the cover of like saving the world from the catastrophe and saving billions of people's lives as a cover because I really do think that she has personal reasons for wanting to go back in time, and that is to save her son. Because, like we saw in the previous season, her son suddenly gets sick and passes away. And obviously, it was very devastating, not just for her family, but for her. And we also see the connection between certain things in the bunker that relate to her son, like when she asked him in the hospital what he imagined heaven to be like, and he talked about the horses, and then we see all of the horses around paradise. So I really do think that everything that she's doing, her motivation is to somehow save her son, and that all of this is just a giant cover for it. And that is really all that I have to say about Paradise. Those are the big mysteries. They dropped 3 episodes for their premiere, which was insane and just a lot and heavy to deal with. So I'm kind of glad that we're going back to the 1 episode a week drops. But I am anticipating the intensity to skyrocket because, you know, Xavier is close to finding Terry, and once that happens, they're going back to the bunker. Link and his caravan of people have made it to the bunker, and they're going to try and get in. And of course, Sinatra is going to try and stop that from happening. So things are about to get pretty intense pretty fast, and there are only 4 episodes left. So we all know that it's going to be huge and major and super exciting, and probably going to leave us with our jaws on the ground. Now, let's talk about Bridgerton. And I just want to give fair warning that I tend to have more of an unpopular opinion when it comes to the things of Bridgerton. So, just in case if we don't agree, it's okay because it's my opinion and you have your opinion that you can share in the comments and that I welcome to hear. So, I just have to say that Benedict and Sophie were cute, but what has always happened with me with Bridgerton outside of Kate and Anthony is that I have not been super interested in the main couple, and that was just kind of the case this year. I was more so very angry with Benedict throughout the entire season and was yelling at my TV at him because of all of the things that he was doing. And there is a part of me that wished that Sophie yelled at him a little bit more than what she did. But I am glad that she got to speak her piece, especially when she was talking about how he was only thinking of himself in the situation and how being with her would benefit him and that it would be okay for him, but not really thinking about what it would do for her and her reputation, especially if she just was his mistress and that they didn't try to like break societal rules and actually get married. And I will say that the whole thing with them kind of went on a little too long than I hoped. I think that they were waiting until the final episode to just like make it all okay. And in them doing that, it just kind of seemed like they had a deus ex machina and like found the will. And of course, her name was in the will and figured out how to make everything okay, even with the queen and stuff like that. It just seemed like it all wrapped up in a nice, pretty little bow very quickly. And it didn't have to be like that. And it could have happened a little bit earlier. And we could have seen a little bit of like official courting, whatever, instead of it just happening at the last episode and then us getting that end credit scene or mid credit scene of their wedding. And it could have just been maybe the entire, last 10, 15 minutes of the episode instead of it having to be a scene during the credits that a lot of people didn't know was coming and some skipped. Moving on to Francesca, who became my favorite person last season. I really appreciate her character and that the quieter, less bubbly, more introverted person is getting representation. And her love story with John was just the sweetest thing. So, yes, Francesca was my favorite, and poor Francesca, my dear, dear Francesca, and everything that she went through this season, my heart broke for her. I have not read a single Bridgerton book, so I had no idea what was happening. And when it did, it was the most devastating thing that could have happened. And he was just like, "Oh, my head hurts. Let me lie down." And when she went into the bedroom to wake him up and they never put the camera on him, I knew what was happening. And it didn't help. It was still extremely devastating. I just feel so awful for her for the amount of grief that she had to endure during this entire season with his death and then just trying to have a baby and not being able to have a baby and then losing the baby. I guess that's what they alluded to at the end when she had that procedure that she thought she was pregnant and then she ended up not being. So I'm just assuming that that means that she suffered a miscarriage. And so the grief of that and that being the last bit of him that she had and now that's gone. But she still has Michaela, but then Michaela left like a thief in the night, even though she said she was gonna stay. Like, she's going through a rough time, and I need things to turn around and get better for her. And I know they will. I've seen people say bits and pieces about what the direction of her story is going to go into. So I just hope that we get to see happy Francesca sooner rather than later. Also, give Hannah Dodd all of the flowers that she deserves and any award that she could possibly win because she did a fantastic job, especially this season with Francesca. I do need to talk about Mama Bridgerton, and I think this is probably where another unpopular opinion comes in because I was not mad at Lord Anderson for ending their relationship. Because the way I see it is this: if she wants to discover who she is outside of being a wife and a mother, I get that. I respect that. I'm all for it. Do you, girl. But to think that he would just wait around for you or be with you uncommitted when he literally wants to marry you and literally asked for your hand in marriage and you accepted, that's kind of insane to me to think that he would still want to do that and be okay, especially if you finding yourself means that you are going to be fancying other men. I don't understand why he would wait around for that. He is a very upstanding man of the time, and he could probably get plenty of women to want to accept his marriage proposal and wants that commitment, and she was not ready to give that to him. And if he waited around for her, there still could be a possibility that she end up finding someone else that she wants, and then he just wastes all of that time with her when he could have been out there finding the person that he was actually supposed to be with. So, no, I wasn't mad at him for doing what he did. I actually felt bad for him and felt sad for him. Um, and I do think that two things can be true. I can feel sad for him, but and also respect her decision, but she also has to realize that he wants a commitment and she doesn't, and there's no guarantee that he would wait around for you and he shouldn't have to if he doesn't want to. And if they're meant to be together and she's supposed to end up marrying him, then it will be and we shall see. And lastly, I just want to give my predictions for who I think the new Lady Whistledown is. At first, like my very immediate thought was Eloise, because obviously Penelope is her best friend, and Hyacinth loves Lady Whistledown, and their relationship really grew this season. And I think that Eloise's love for Hyacinth would lead her to do that, and it also gives her something to do that's not searching for a suitor or a husband. And I think it's not expected of her to do something like that. But I think that she could recognize the type of influence that being Lady Whistledown gives her, and she would see why it was a good thing or to step into that role. So that's why I think it's Eloise. I did see online a couple of people thinking that it was still Penelope, and that she's just like she retired, but now she's coming out of retirement. And yes, but also no. Yes, because she didn't have that anonymity anymore coming into the season, which is something that I was very interested in seeing. And I think that the scene when the woman comes to her house and confronts her about the things that she wrote in the pamphlet really, like, obviously it drove her to retire, but like she is now a living breathing person that they can confront and yell at when something is written about them that they don't like. And you can tell that she did not enjoy when that woman came to her house. I don't know why anyone would, but also for her, she is standing face to face with someone who is negatively impacted by something that she said, and she has to confront that right then and there because this woman is in her home yelling in her face. And that makes things even more difficult, on top of the fact that everyone knows that it's her, and they're probably not going to share as much gossip in her presence as they would have when she was anonymous. So I can see why she would pull that stunt to say that she was retiring only to come back, but they also kind of allude to the fact that she doesn't know who wrote it. And unless she's just lying to Colin now, which I don't think she would do, I don't think it's her. But it's not a bad guess. I also saw people guessing that it was Alice Mondrick, and that's also a pretty good guess, especially with her new role with the Queen. All of that gossip that she was already, or information that she was already trying to get when it came to Benedict for the Queen, and the role that she had in all of that, and the way she could use her husband and the people that he interacts with and engages with to gain information from the guys about the women and all of that. I can see it being her too. So that's also not a bad guess at all. So that's all I have for Bridgerton. Now I want to talk a little bit about A Night of Seven Kingdoms. I actually heard about this show premiering a while ago, a long time ago when Game of Thrones was still on the air. People were telling me that I needed to watch it and I never got around to it. I heard about finding out that it was a book series, and of course I love to read. I was interested in reading it, and then finding out about this show and the graphic novel that exists about this story. I started reading it. I didn't finish it. I was like almost done and never finished it, but I still decided to start the show and watch the whole first season, and it was a fun watch. I knew that it wasn't going to be like Game of Thrones because of what I had read, so I was totally into it, and it was super fun recognizing all of the things in the show that I had read in the graphic novels. And that led me into wanting to start watching House of the Dragon, which I did start. I'm only a few episodes in, so do not put any spoilers in the comments. And I will say this. I don't think I'm ever going to get around to watching Game of Thrones. I remember the outrage that happened when the show ended. I remember watching videos of the cast at the table read and their reaction of the end of the series. And I refuse to feel that way. And I'm going to say again because television shows have hurt my heart in such a way before, and I refuse to feel that way again. And since I know it's coming, I'm not going to do it. And I also know that they ran out of source material and just decided to do whatever they wanted. And I'm not interested in watching that. So, no, I will just go and read all of the books. But as for House of the Dragon, all I can really say at this point is that I am locked in and that I am rooting for Rhaenyra. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And another show that I am currently binge watching is Supergirl. I did start this show when it aired and I never finished season two. And so I decided to give it a chance. And after I got over the hump of season two, I did get pretty locked in with the show, especially season three. I was very locked into season three. What I do have to say about this show or just ask about this show, especially like seasons four, and right now I'm at the end of season five. We're almost finishing season five. I think I watched like episode 17 or 18 just now. But the one thing that I have to ask is, why is this show so scarily relevant when it was airing in the mid 2010s to the early 2020s? Like, I know certain people who held certain titles in certain offices were in those offices then and they're in them now, but it's just this insane how it feels like it is a commentary on what's literally happening right now in the mid 2020s. I'm not surprised that that's what they were talking about on the show when it was airing, but if I was watching it then and like rewatching it now, I would definitely say that it was ahead of its time because it feels super, super much like right now. And that's kind of unfortunate because why have we not progressed? But yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Very interested in seeing how it ends. Like I said, I'm at like the end of season five now. I only have one season left after that. So by the time you are watching or listening to this, I might be done or very close to finishing the series. So, shameless plug. Make sure you're following me on social media if you want to know more of my thoughts after I finish the series, because I most definitely will be sharing them. And now, moving on to the shows that have new seasons premiering very soon, that I am very excited about for this spring premiere season. The first show that is coming back very, very soon is Virgin River. And that is just, my special little one of my special little comfort shows about, a small town community that all helps each other out, and there is drama which makes it very interesting, but it also is cozy and feels like a warm hug because it's like what community should actually look like, which unfortunately we don't see a lot right now in our society or on as big of a scale as it should be seen. So yeah, it's like gives me hope for the society that I live in now. And that returns March 12th, and I do need to rewatch the last season again. And the last thing that I remember is that Mel got married, and then this woman who was pregnant that she knew because of her clinic was putting her child up for adoption, had the parents already picked out, ended up not liking them, and then showed up at Mel's house like, can you take my baby? So, in some wild way, Mel, I guess, is finally gonna have a kid. But we shall see how that all works out. Especially, I don't even remember if we know that the couple knows that they're not gonna get the child anymore. So that's going to be a lot of drama in and of itself. And then there's also another character whose name escapes me who is also about to give birth and have her own child. So lots of baby stuff going on, I'm sure, in the upcoming season. And I have seen no trailers and read nothing about this season, so I have no idea. Also, now that I'm saying this, I am remembering that Charmaine and the twins are missing. And yikes. And I hope that they are alive because we know that they're not in the safe space because it was most likely the baby's father who kidnapped all three of them. So hopefully they get found and are safe during after the events of the season. And the second show that is also a very cozy show for me that is premiering in April is The Way Home. And I am a little sad about this because I only just started watching this show last year and have binge watched it multiple times. And the new season, its fourth season, is its last season. And that makes me so sad. But hopefully, this is them being able to end on their own terms and not just them getting cut off by the network and the studios and all of the powers that be. But at the end of season three, we did find out that Elliot's mom has time traveled, and we don't know who she time traveled with because we know that she has to time travel with Landry. I personally think that it's Colton's brother, who we have never seen but was all of a sudden mentioned more than a few times in season three. So that is my guess, that she got with Elliot's father, fell out of love with him, or fell in love with Colton's brother and ran off with him. The question is, where did they end up? And is it possible that we have somehow already seen them as adults? I know that we saw Elliot's mom in the past, but that's it. And I also need to rewatch season three of that. And all of the seasons are finally on Netflix now. So if you have not watched the show and you do want to check it out, they're all there. So yeah, those are the two shows that I'm very excited for their premieres. And that wraps up what I guess I'm going to call my TV extravaganza, and just word vomiting everything from that I've been thinking about on my shows. If you watched one or more of these shows and want to do the same in the comments, by all means, give me all of your thoughts on everything that you have thoughts on. Also, let me know the shows that you are currently watching, whether they're new, old, whatever. I don't care. I'm watching stuff new, old all the time. So let me know what you're watching, and I'll see if I have seen it or not. And by what you say, I may add it to my list of things to watch in the future. So definitely put those in the comments and all of your thoughts in the comments. And let's have conversations. But also, I want to reiterate that if your opinion is not my opinion or the same as someone else's opinion in the comment section, that is okay. We are going to be civil. If not, you unfortunately might get blocked. So let's avoid that and just be civil and hear people's difference of opinions and respectfully disagree if that's the case. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the podcast. All of my social media links are in the description box, so I would encourage you to follow me if you want like real-time updates on all of the things that I am watching and have 2 cents on. If you want to engage with me on Threads and TikTok and all of those things, make sure you are following me on those respective platforms. Also, make sure you are subscribed to this channel if you aren't already, so you don't miss any of my other episodes for the podcast or any of my other videos, because I do post other stuff on this channel. And if for some reason this is not your jam, but you know someone who would enjoy this, make sure you share not just this episode with them, but my entire channel, and encourage them to subscribe so they don't miss any of what I'll be putting out, since it's their jam. Again, thanks so much for listening. I'll talk to y'all in the next one. Bye.